Raider fans, Trojan fans, do us a favor. Check out activelyblack.com, one of our sponsors here, activelyblack.com. POR SBR is the our Twitter handle, and also we'll get you, get you money off of activelyblack.com. Also, if you want to impress your lady, you got a new girlfriend, you're freshly married, newlyweds, all that stuff like that, fiance, go to Christine's Christine's Beauty Bar, both on Instagram. Both sponsors on Instagram. Check them out. Actively.black.com for leisure wear, for outfits, for active wear. Check them out, and also check out Christine's Beauty Bar. I mean, your significant other will not be disappointed, not be disappointed at all. So check it out out there. She'll take care of you. And like I said, like I said last time, you can watch the game, send her to Christine, and Christine will, take care of, the facial and all that stuff like that. And you can be, it's a happy world. Like she gets what she wants, you get what you want, and happy wife, happy life. All right, we like that stuff here on the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right USC podcast. So check us both out. Check them both out, and then also check out our shows for the Raiders and for the Trojans. The season is fast approaching. September 1st for the Trojans and September 8th for the Raiders. So check it out here on the Student Body Right USC podcast and the Put on Raiders podcast. Don't forget activelyblack.com and also Christine's Beauty Bar. Peace.
Everyone can relate to him, so it's like there's a respect level where it's different when you got an old, short, fat white guy telling you, run to the ball, you're out of shape. Be like, you're out of shape. What are you talking about? What are we talking about? But it's different. You got AP.
What are you talking about?
What are we talking?
Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to the glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSPR is my Twitter handle, and Ryan Holmes is RHOLM22. It was hot one out here, so so drink water. I know it felt like Palm Desert out here, boy. Today, boy, it was hot as hell. Ryan, how you doing today?
Doing good. It was 94 at my house today. It's a hot one.
It was definitely warm as hell today. We're gonna start off the show with with some quick hits. So quick hits is gonna be like three really quick stories. Then we're gonna talk about that, and then before we get into the big agenda of the program. First, did you see Maxx Crosby's recent interview?
I did not.
No. Not. So he talked about. They asked him about, hey, do you AP versus Josh McDaniels, and he said, and then the interviewer were talking about how is it better to play for somebody who already played in the league. He went on and said, I mean, AP has been in the Super Bowl, he's been in all these different things as a player, and then you have some short fat guy referring to Josh McDaniels. Now that was his words. Unless that was AI or something like that. Then I could take all the stuff back. But he also made a point to call him short and fat and say, hey, it's better than hat. I'm in shape, and then you're telling me to go do things. Being a short fat guy. I mean, I will just say, as far as that goes, it's funny because we don't like Josh McDaniels, but there are some short fat guys who are pretty good coaches like Sean Payton and Bill Belichick. But this is another case where, like, hey, listen, like, you guys really went out on a limb for AP. You guys really stuck your chest out for AP. So they kind of, like, the players have to deliver for Antonio Pierce this year because if the 2-year deal is real, then this year is very important to the future of Antonio Pierce as a head coach for the Raiders.
I'm not surprised if those are the words he used. I would say I don't know if I would have said short fat guy
Yeah.
during an interview. I think at the end of the day, it's just about winning. If
Mhm.
whoever the coach is at the time, if they win, the players are going to respect that. But when you're asking them to do as much as Josh McDaniels was doing, and they
Yeah.
weren't winning, and people weren't
Yes.
happy, and it went south in the locker room, he lost the locker room. That's one thing. And obviously, Antonio Pierce played in the league, like you said. He can speak to the players. He's gone through the experiences they're going through as a player, and then he can motivate them. He's very good at that. That's how he basically got the job. Is he willed this team and motivated them to win 5 games down the stretch when he was interim coach. So Antonio Pierce is driving the bus right now, and they're all behind him. If this thing goes south and they win 3 or 4 games, I'm sure, and the new coach comes in, we'll hear different things where they're backing whoever the new coach is. I don't expect that to happen. But they're not gonna say anything negative about the guy that's in charge right now, especially when they went to the owners that hired this guy.
Yes. No question about it. No question about it. But like I said, like I said, you're putting everything out in front of everybody. So let's just make sure that I mean, you got to win games. It's all about winning. It's all about winning.
Just
And
win, baby. It's right over my head.
it's exactly that model is is loud and clear right behind Ryan's head. So definitely Maxx and the teammates got to do that. Good to see that 74 hit the field today. Colton Miller is back. We kind of figured that he's a veteran. There was no scare on our part that he wasn't going to play. We know that as far as like him being ready for week 1 at the Chargers, I think Colton Miller, who's been one of the most durable and one of the best left tackles in football, we didn't have any question that he would make his way back into the lineup.
Yeah, he hasn't missed many games in his career. If you remember back his rookie season, I believe it was 2018. He played. I think he tore his knee again in week 4. He had a knee issue. I believe it was Cleveland. I was at that game, and then he played the whole season on basically one leg. So if Colton Miller's upright and he can play, he's going to play. So I don't really have a lot of concern about him, and he's going to have to hit the ground running week 1. I mean, you have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa coming in, or they're going to play them in Los Angeles. So I think he'll be ready up to the task. He'll have a veteran next to him. It sounds like Cody Whitehair. It doesn't sound like Jackson Powers Johnson's going to be in the lineup week 1 unless things change over the next 2.5 weeks. So you got a veteran lining up next to him, and the offensive line looks like it's pretty set for week 1. Those 5 guys look like they're entrenched as what you're going to look like across the line.
Yeah, and then also with Colton Miller, like he's like doesn't miss games, knows all the. I'm sure he'll grab the offense, and he also has a lot of time to get ready. I think this has been a slow. He knows how to get ready for games, and he's ramping up to be ready on the 8th, and it's the 20th, right? 20th. This will probably air on the 21st. So I have no question that he'll be ready. So I don't know when that Sean Payton interview took place. I'm not sure when it is, but like I'm sure. I mean, maybe they're replaying it because Bo Nix had back-to-back good games in the preseason. I would say just for folks who have not seen our draft stuff before, you always can go back and look. It's pretty good stuff. But Ryan, I'm more of a Bo Nix fan as far as in the league being a good quarterback than Ryan is. But I guess Sean Payton said he called the Raiders to see if they wanted to quote unquote move up, just to make sure that the guy who they wanted was going to be there at 12. So the way the engagement farming site put it in Twitter, it was like, hey, look how Sean Payton tricked the Raiders to find out whether or not they were coming up to take a quarterback.
Yeah, he didn't bait the Raiders into anything. The Raiders clearly didn't have interest in Bo Nix in the top 13 or 14 of the draft to where they would have taken him. And we heard that all the way through. And it was clear they didn't really have a lot of interest in J.J. McCarthy either, because by all accounts, Telesco didn't try to move for either one of those guys. I'm more in the J.J. McCarthy camp long term. I would have moved up 2 or 3 spots if I had a shot to get him. And it sounded like the way Sean Payton said it was, they knew that the Jets were looking to deal. So They just wanted to make sure the Raiders weren't one of the teams that were going to jump ahead of them. So they called the Raiders and asked if they were looking to come up to 12. And when they found out they weren't, they knew they didn't have interest in Bo Nix. It wasn't, we're going to trick them and bait them into not doing it. Like, they just wanted to make sure the Raiders weren't going to try to get up to where the Jets are. Because if the Raiders couldn't get to 11, then obviously the only other spot they really could have gone is to 12. And if they weren't willing to go to 12, they probably weren't willing to go to 11. So the whole thing got blown out of proportion. I don't think the Raiders had interest in Bo Nix at all in the first round. So I don't know why that site, we won't name that site, but I was surprised they had 240-something thousand followers, and everything that they tweet out is mostly garbage.
Yeah, and yeah, because brother Elon, he pays you for engagement, baby. If you got engagement and tweeting, like you definitely go out there. Like somebody tweeted the other day that the quarterback, I forgot the backup quarterback for the Packers, he threw like 3 interceptions against the Broncos, but they put in the line that it was Jordan Love, and they had to put that little truth thing on the bottom and say Jordan Love did not play in this game. It's they're just trying and people are like,
I don't follow them. Luckily, I didn't see that, but every time I do come across something, I just scroll past it.
Yeah, I just scroll past it, but I do think that I got a lot of comments on that, so I just wanted to make sure that was funny to see that out there. Everybody's trying to also another engagement farm about DRT. Like there's not a lot of teams calling for DRT. Like I'm sorry, they're just not. Like I mean, it's not, and the Raiders are not going to be one of them. So don't get your hopes up if you're a Dorian Thompson Robinson fan. He won't be in silver and black. So I wouldn't sweat that.
No, it sounds like he may be in danger of not even making the team. And if Deshaun Watson hasn't played well as a Cleveland Brown. So if they're willing to move on from a very inexpensive backup, they're telling you they don't have much interest in him either. Yeah. So why would other teams give up anything to trade for him? If he becomes a free agent and you want to sign him and stash him on the practice squad and try to develop him, that's fine. But I don't think anyone's going to give up a draft pick for him.
No.
And he's not going to change the Raiders quarterback room in this season at all. So it's not even really worth it.
If you want to do like a little, what's that? A little option stuff. Go ahead. Maybe I don't know, but it's not going to change the room. The thing about somebody else put out something about Matthew Stafford possibly coming to the Raiders in season to get a pass rusher. That can happen. Linebacker, running back, those trades can make sense, but it is almost impossible to get a quarterback to come in during the season and become an integral part of your team. I don't see, and then also the Rams. Who would the Rams ever even like?
They have Stetson Bennett, and he's not going to play.
Yeah, what do you have? 5 interceptions in the last preseason game. That's not happening. All right, thank you.
I would say quickly, if the Raiders were going to make a move at quarterback, I think the first call is to Chicago to ask about Tyson Bagent, who knows the system, who played under Luke Getsy, who has a little bit of upside. I don't think the Bears are going to move on because he's shown pretty well, and he's got a little bit of skill. Obviously, he's not going to play unless something happens to Caleb Williams. But if you were going to look at a quarterback, it's going to have to someone that knows the offense.
Yes.
I mean, you can't bring someone in
100%
and wait 8 games for them to pick it up, especially. And I wouldn't expect Bagent to even come in and beat out either of the 2 guys that are there now. He would just be a guy you could add to kind of push O'Connell. If O'Connell is falling out of favor with Telesco and clearly with Getsy, and you want a more athletic guy back there, then that makes sense if you could get him for like a 5th or 6th round pick. But I don't see the Bears making that trade at that point. It's just not enough value. They're better off just keeping it.
No question. And that's quick notes here on the Put on Raiders podcast. Let's roll to the big part of the show here now. The Raiders make a decision. They went into camp with AOC and Gardner Minshew, and now all the dust has settled. The fiery battle between the 2 quarterbacks has now ended. And Ryan, your thoughts about Gardner Minshew being named the Raiders the Rich Gannon 2.0.
No. I'll just say this. I don't want to call it a victory lap, but I'm the only one that I can think of that was saying that Minshew was going to win this job. I don't think he went out there and took it by the horns by any stretch of the imagination, but I always thought if it was close, they were going to go with Minshew. And it seems like everyone else thought if it was close, they were going to go AOC. You have to remember how they practice matters. And the day that I was at practice, AOC was horrific. It was bad. Minshew wasn't great, but he wasn't as bad as AOC. And I talked to you and I tweeted out at the time, there was a lot of rollouts, a lot of movement, a lot of getting Bowers the ball quickly in the flat. They're going to run outside zone. So if you're going to run the play action and the bootleg stuff off of that, you can't run that part of the offense with Aiden O'Connell. So it only made sense based on the type of offense that I was seeing when I was there, the money they gave Minshew, the fact he's a veteran, the fact Antonio Pierce needs to win now. And I'm not a believer in Aiden O'Connell having this huge upside that other people do, and that's fine. I just don't see it. I think he can be a quality backup in this league, and if you need him to go in there for 2 or 3 games and play well, he can do that. I don't think you can count on for 17 weeks in a row and put you in enough spots where you're going to win enough to be a playoff contender. Now, I'm not sure this is a playoff team either with Gardner Minshew. I'm not out here saying Gardner Minshew is going to lead this team to the promised land. I still think this is an 8 or 9 win team. And you're going to be lucky at 9 and 8 if you can get in. And that's if the defense plays as a top 5 defense and they can run the football. So this offensive line hasn't played well this preseason. Now, granted, they haven't had a couple of guys in there that they're going to count on. I would expect Powers Johnson at some point in the first quarter of the season to work his way into the lineup, whether that's week 2, 3, or 4. And, maybe there's a miracle and that's week 1, but I doubt at this point. But I don't think the win-loss total is different that much with either quarterback. I think with AOC, it's probably 7. And I think with Gardner Minshew, it's maybe 8 or 9. But I just didn't understand why everyone just wanted to say that Minshew was the one that had to go in there and take it from Aiden O'Connell. Like they gave Minshew $25 million and $15 million guaranteed. They targeted him on day 1. This offense has a lot of movement in it, which doesn't suit him. So they would have to tailor the offense a little bit differently. And I know that there was a lot of talk. Well, Devontae Adams wants Aiden O'Connell because the way he was talking about him. But if the three people sat down, if it was really Telesco, Getsy, and Pierce, and they decided on Minshew, that actually, to me, speaks a lot about Antonio Pierce saying, you know what, I'm not going to let the players run this asylum. If my decision is I want to play Gardner Minshew and Devontae Adams wants Aiden O'Connell, I'm going to play the guy that I think is the best for this team. I actually think that's a good thing.
And for the folks, I gotta say, we do this show because we love the Raiders and we love the players on the team and everything like that. But if the player is not good, we just have to honestly say they're not good. Like everybody in silver and black is not Charles Woodson or Rich Gannon or Jim Plunkett. It just doesn't work that way. So this AOC upside, it really isn't there. He was overdrafted when he was drafted by Josh McDaniels, and he's just not. He's a career backup. He's on the fringe of being kind of lucky to be in the league, in my opinion. But he's definitely not a starter. And I can argue that this whole battle was between 2 guys who aren't starters.
I would argue on most teams, Minshew's not a starter either. Just in this scenario,
yes,
he's the lesser of 2 evils, I would call it.
Yes,
and the Raiders are in this spot because they didn't address the quarterback position that they should have in the draft. But we don't need to waste another show on that and get a bunch of comments about
the quarterback.
Why are we talking about the quarterback all off season? Please go back and read the receipts when everyone was just saying, why are you guys talking about the quarterback so much? This is why. But we won't harp on that too much on this episode.
I believe the saying is, why are you bringing up bullshit? But yes, I mean, if there is upside to AOC, he's only 2 years younger than Gardner, just so you know that. And also, leave him in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter. I would love to have a conversation of what his actual upsides are.
I would argue the upside is somewhere in the bottom third of the league as a starter, and that's not going to win you enough games to be a difference maker.
Yeah,
I would argue Gardner Minshew is probably in the same boat. He's going to be a bottom third of the league starter as well.
Yeah, and he's going to Gardner Minshew, and we'll talk about him because now he's the starting quarterback for the Raiders. I don't think you're going to see a lot of high, completion percentage. He won't break the record for completion percentage, but he will make some sporadic big plays. doesn't have the great arm strength. You can see a lot of those times on some of those over routes and some of those post plays to Tucker, that Tucker's kind of like this, waiting for the ball because he's trying to, because Garner can't get it to him while he's while he's in motion. So there is that. I think it's very important during this time period because we didn't have Devontae play any preseason game or anything like that. Like, this is the time for Devontae to realize that he has a new quarterback. He has Gardner Minshew, and to get that rapport going with Garner, because Garner has to find out like where Devontae wants the ball. Like when they see this look, like what is Devontae going to do? Like, this is Devontae knows this offense probably better than Garner. We thought about those two connecting because every time Devontae got interviewed, he talked about the connection he had with AOC.
Yeah, I would expect starting today, if not yesterday, that Devontae and Gardner Minshew are out there on the field throwing and talking about routes and where they want balls, side adjustments, things they see versus certain coverages, and that'll continue as they go over the next 2.5 weeks as they go into the season. That'll actually continue every week as they build rapport together. I think you're right. I don't think Gardner is going to go out there and complete 70% of the passes. You're probably looking at maybe 60, 62%. I think what might have pushed him over the top, there is the ability to have some elusiveness. Now, he's not Michael Vick by any stretch of the imagination, but he can scramble a la Rich Gannon, as you mentioned earlier, pick up some yards. The key is going to be on third down. Can he be accurate enough on third down? Can he scramble for 2 first downs a game on third down? And then his ability to push the ball down the field. He doesn't have a rocket of an arm, but you saw in the preseason, he's willing to take shots when it's one-on-one coverage. And that's something Aiden O'Connell just hasn't done. I mean, as great as people want to say he played against the Cowboys, and he was accurate, but completed 14 of 20 passes for like 95 yards. Like, he didn't push the ball down the field at all. And a lot of that came on some broken tackles where Abdullah got loose on one and I think DJ Turner on another. So at some point, if this offense is going to be super explosive, you got to take shots when it's one-on-one and give your playmakers a chance. Now, that's might lead to a couple extra interceptions from Gardner, and he has to take care of the ball. If he goes out there and he's turning the ball over, 2 times a game over the first 4 or 5 games of the season, he won't be the quarterback anymore. So Gardner's going to have to find that common ground where he can complete 60 plus 65% of the passes, hopefully, be aggressive on third down and take shots when they're there. And he's going to have to protect the football. So while he's the starter now, there is an avenue here where he won't be the starter 5 or 6 weeks into the season if he's turning the ball over. Now, if he's not, if he's protecting the ball and it's 60, 62%, and this team's putting up, 21, 22 points a game, I think they stick with him. As long as they're competitive and around 500. If this thing goes south, which again I don't expect it to do, but if they start out, let's just say 2-5 or something like that, then you probably do turn it over to Aiden O'Connell at that point and see what you have over the second half of the season. I think either way, they're in the market for a quarterback next year, whether it's free agency, trading with another team, or taking one in the first round. It has to be addressed by this organization next year.
There's like we from the minute. I mean, for us, if we were in charge, I think we would have done it the minute that Derek Carr was demoted from starter to backup.
That's when it makes sense.
That's when it makes sense. But I don't want to bring up old shit. So looking at the rest of the quarterback room too, do you think that the way Carter Bradley kind of moved the team in that preseason game, and you'll probably see more Carter Bradley in the last game of the last preseason game against the 49ers, does it make Nathan Peterman expendable? People are asking that question because they just don't want to see Peterman on the team anymore.
I don't think either one of them is going to make the team. I'm actually bold prediction, early look at my 53-man roster that'll come out after the next preseason game. I'm going to have 2 quarterbacks on the roster. I'm going to have Minshew and O'Connell. I don't think anyone around the league is going to put Nathan Peterman on their 53-man. So you put him on the practice squad.
Yeah.
And then you have him there practicing. And then when you need him, if there's a couple of games a week, if one of the quarterbacks is dinged up, you can always elevate him during the season. I believe you can elevate him 3 times. I could be wrong, but I think it's 3 before you have to put him on the 53 going forward. I don't think I'm going to have 2. I don't think Bradley or Peterman crack the initial 53-man roster.
Okay. Well, people just don't want Peterman on the team anymore. So I get that part. But listen,
if Nader Peterman has to play this year, then the Raiders are probably going to have a top 5 pick.
Oh, they're going to top 5 pick. Yeah, the top 5 pick. Yeah. Yeah. There's no question about it. As far as so we're leaving the quarterback room and going to the cornerback room. Stephon Gilmore signs with the Vikings. So I think Stephon Gilmore until he can't run anymore. I think he's going to keep signing these 1-year, $10 million deals with whoever wants to give it to him. So that it does leave. I mean, like you're seeing some of the guys come off the board here. I think that's probably one of the areas that people are worried about. Thoughts about the Raiders doing their due diligence here to try to get a veteran cornerback in the room, because I love Jack. I think Jack has been a great find. He's been, he's David Emerson on steroids. He's way better than he's just phenomenal. Been phenomenal. Has great hands, as well, intercepting balls. But if he ever went down, I would be remiss to see what we could have at cornerback going forward this season.
Yeah, they definitely need depth in the cornerback room. Richardson and Devonshire haven't shown a lot in the preseason games. I do think this defense is going to play a lot of big nickels. So when they want to put an extra DB on the field, depending on the teams they're playing, I think you're going to see a lot of Isaiah Pola-Mao. As kind of that bigger guy in the box that can play linebacker. Now, he's not going to line up at slot corner, but you're going to see a lot of big nickel out of this defense. I think you're going to have Hobbs on one side, Jones on the other in base, and then when you want to play nickel defense, then you bring in Jacorian Bennett. So you kind of limit some of his snaps where he doesn't have to be on the field all the time. I do think they're going to add a veteran corner. At this point, I think they're going to wait until after week 1, because you don't want to guarantee the vested veterans. They sign a guy now, basically, and he's on the initial 53. His salary is guaranteed for the season, whether they move on or not. So if they wait till after week 1, then it's not guaranteed, and they can release that player at any point during the season and not be on the hook for a salary that's going to hit the cap if the player doesn't live up to it. So it's a little late in camp now to just start adding people and expect them to play week 1 or week 2. So you're probably better off just waiting till after week 1. So let's see what it looks like against the Chargers. See what it looks like against the Ravens, and then possibly make an addition at that point. But they do need depth. If there's a guy that gets released and they want to bring them over, do a waiver claim, after the initial 53, and then a couple of days after that, they can do that. We're going to see. I think they're okay for now, but they're going to need another guy at some point this year.
Yeah. Any thoughts on the rest of the money that's just sitting in the salary cap? Like I think they got I think they got 40-something million. Do you feel like that's
like 35?
35, yeah. What are your thoughts about that? You think it's just for fiscally responsible, just trying to just hold on for next year, and maybe try to get some guys signed in the off season coming up? What are your thoughts about that? I get it. People are just like keeps texting the show saying, hey, what's up with all that money we got tied up? How come we're not using that to do some things?
I think the Raiders are going to roll a majority over to next year's salary caps. So if they don't spend it this year, it rolls over into next year and then adds an additional, let's say 25 million, because they'll probably spend 10 or 15 million of what they have into next year's cap when you need to be aggressive to get a quarterback. Whether that's versus a trade or a free agency, you don't want to spend a ton of that now, and not be able to move it over. Now, if the right player becomes available, I think they'll dip into it. It was always funny that people are saying, well, they're holding that money out for extensions, but if they're true extensions, that salary doesn't hit the cap until next year, so it doesn't affect this year unless the bonus is prorated. So some of that will, but most of that, if you sign an extension with Malcolm Kuntz or Nate Hobbs or Marcus Epps or Trayvon Merritt, most of that is future obligations. It doesn't hit this year's cap unless you give him a big bonus. And other than Malcolm Kuntz, just because he's a pass rusher, I don't think those other 3 guys are going to command huge bonuses. Now they're going to get nice bonuses, but nothing that's going to eat up a ton of salary cap space when you spread it out over 3-4 years.
Yeah, and safety is they got a couple of safeties is almost like the running back of the defense, right? They don't get paid a boatload of money. Justin Simmons took forever for him to get signed by the Falcons. As far as that goes, we got Diablo and Spillane. We're ready to roll with those guys as far as the linebackers go. Not a lot of depth behind those two. But hopefully they'll be able to say, especially Diablo. Hopefully both those guys can stay healthy.
Yeah, I don't expect either one of them to play against the 49ers. The one player I want to see is Tommy Eichenberg. Like, we need to get him on the field. Let's see what Tommy Eichenberg looks like.
What is going on with Eichenberg? It's like off the field, something back home or something like that.
I thought he left at one point because there was some issue he had back home, but like he wasn't at the practice I was at, and then they haven't really said his name. But by all accounts, he was having a good camp. So hopefully he's back now. Hopefully he gets on the field against the 49ers. Going to see what he looks like. I kind of like Amari Gainer, who's making that transition from an edge defender to a linebacker. He's big, he's physical, he can run. He's new to the position. I don't know if you can count on him to play snaps early this year if there was an injury. So I know a lot of people are clamoring to get him on the roster. I would try to get him on the practice squad. You got to remember the backup linebackers, especially with the way the new kickoff rules are, a lot of these players are going to have to go out and be able to run and tackle in space. I don't know how much, special teams work Gainer's had in his career. Like, he's probably a better player in the long run than Mayuga, but Mayuga's a really good special teams player. Luke Masterson's a good special teams player. Yeah. Like, those guys are probably going to be on the roster. I would expect Eichenberg and Masterson to be on. I think the last spot comes down to Mayuga against Gainer, and then which one can you count on right now for special teams? It's probably Mayuga. Which one would I rather have long term? It's probably Gainer to develop him.
Yeah.
But everyone gets so scared that they're going to lose players, at the 53-man, and other teams are going to claim them. I could be wrong. I want to say the number last year was like 30 in the whole league of players that were released. So there's a high likelihood you can get him onto the practice squad, and you develop him from there. And if he starts playing well and shows that he can be counted on to play defensive snaps if needed, and he's good on special teams, then you elevate him, and then you release whoever the fifth linebacker is on the roster.
Yeah, I'm not. People.
I want to be good on special teams for the first month because those could decide games, especially with this offense.
Yeah, you really can't. And speaking of special teams, I do like. I mean, the whole with Trey Turner, could be a real plus for the Raiders here. I mean, if they can get, this offense doesn't have to start from the 30 or whatever, and they can start from midfield or anywhere between the 40s. That's a good spot, and he's shown some elusiveness and some quickness here. But I am interested to see how people will use the kicking game in this. It is weird looking at the setup. I don't know about you, but it's just weird to see the setup of this new kickoff rule.
I think the average starting field position in the preseason is like the 28, and now we're getting close to I'm a huge believer in certainty, so I want to kick the ball through the end zone and give them the ball at the 25 like we used to. I might be quickly into the boat of kick it through the end zone and give them to it the 30. So we'll see how the first couple of weeks go. I don't think the risk is worth the reward. If the players can't run until the receiver catches it, no matter how high your guy kicks it or where he places it, teams are going to be, average returns are going to be out to the 23, 24, 25. So, like, is the 5 yards really worth the risk of a guy giving the other team really good field position, especially when you're counting on this defense to carry this team? Give them the advantage whenever you can. And if this special teams unit gives up some big plays early in the year and you lose a game or two, it's not worth it. Just kick it out of the end zone and let them take the ball at 30. That's
still the impetus for me to kick it out back. They think it's going to be more like you're going to have people who try to reinvent the wheel, but at the end of the day, like maybe here's a question for you. If it was a 35, would that 5 yards still, would that 10 yards be enough for you to?
If it was a 35, I would kick it and cover it and go down and try to tackle him at the 25. 10 yards is one thing, but if the average starting field position is the 28 and you can give it to him at the 30, the 2 yards means nothing to me.
Yeah. Don't get Ryan with the math, cousin. He keep coming out.
Nothing I hate more than giving up big kick returns.
Oh yeah, it's the most painful. It's weird because it's the most joyous thing, and then it's also the most painful thing. Especially after a score, that's the worst. When you get like a field goal, fine, but you score like a big touchdown, and all of a sudden they get the ball to the 50-yard line. That's always crazy. Janoris Robinson is a guy who I think that he's really putting himself in a position where he can just be a part of that rotation pretty consistently as far as that goes. And I don't know. I mean, listen, I know people are talking about trading Tyree. What are you going to get for Tyree if you try to trade him? But Tyree is not, solidifying himself as, a big time pass rusher that people that he was drafted for. So we'll see. We'll see what happens to him. But thoughts on Robinson and Tyree?
I think Robinson's going to play
a
little bit this year, coming off the benches. I think eventually he'll be that third rusher. He'll kick Tyree inside. He'll rotate with Butler. I think, they'll get a fair amount of share of run inside with Wilkins, especially in nickel and pass rushing situations. I'm not ready to give up on Tyree. Now, my expectations never were of Tyree being this super edge rusher with bend and speed and quickness and 12, 15 sacks, because that's not the player he was in college.
Yeah.
I still think there's value as an edge setter, as a run stuffer that hopefully can develop enough and enough one-on-ones to get you 6, 7 sacks in a season. Now, that's not great. I think it's still too early to just throw in the towel. Let's give it another year and see what it looks like, because the Raiders they're not counting on him this year.
Yeah.
But they're going to run out Kuntz, Butler, Wilkins, Crosby. They'll rotate him in to give Butler a break every once in a while. Butler was the unsung hero on the defensive line last year. When they ran all these twists and stunts, Butler was very good at occupying blockers, we'll say, legally or illegally, and getting guys to come free and sack the quarterback. Now, if you can have him working games with the guys inside, or even, with the ends with some TE stunts, that's where he's valuable. And then he's going to come free as well. He had 5 sacks last year, and by all accounts, he's had a good camp. I do think the Raiders are in the market for another defensive tackle. Doesn't sound like there's much coming out of Matthew Butler. Doesn't sound like Byron Young has done much at all. When you turn on the tape, he's still getting pushed around very easily, which surprises me for a guy that came from Bama and played in the SEC and looked like he would hold up. He just hasn't. You don't know you have a Marquand McCall. There's not a lot of depth there behind Jenkins, Wilkins, and Butler. Now, you're hoping that Tyree Wilson can be the fourth guy in there on passing downs. But if something were to happen to one of those top 3 guys, you need another big body inside. Hopefully that's Nestor Jade's Silveria. He's flashing in run defense. You just need to put a big body in there and hold up. So I would sure I think he's going to make this team over Butler or Young. We'll see come cut down day. But the depth along the offensive or the defensive line that we heard about early in training camp just really hasn't shown up through 2 preseason games. They've been pushed around pretty easily.
Yeah, interesting. Let me see here. Have anything else here? That was a hell of a kick by a Dallas kicker. I couldn't believe was it 66 yards? Jesus Lord.
With ease.
With ease. I saw a picture of it was a mock-up of the new Bears stadium that they're trying to get through. Okay. And I'm
Allegiant Midwest.
Maybe,
I saw it on Hard Knocks tonight. They showed a picture of it.
I can't wait to watch
like the Raiders stadium.
I can't wait to watch Hard Knocks. But yeah, are we going to get to a point where there are every game is inside? Because that stadium is an indoor stadium, correct?
Yeah, it's almost identical to the Raiders.
And it seems like for some of these cold weather places, Chicago, I just think it would be weird to me. I guess we're practical. That would be kind of foolish because they're just gonna close it anyway. But I just feel like though that part of football is more hurtful to me than the whole losing the chain gang next year. That to me is you want to see, even though we live on the West Coast, it's cool to see like the you play Green Bay, you see all the the white smoke looking like I'm coming out of their mouth when it's freezing cold outside. To lose that advantage is just kind of like, that's just weird. I mean, Minnesota hasn't even sniffed the Super Bowl since they started playing inside. It's just like, I mean, you gotta take advantage of that when you. I mean, the Vikings are like the only team in Minnesota who play inside. Like everybody else plays. I mean, the Gophers play outside football. Like it's just weird to me.
Called money. When you build that stadium and you have
You want a Super
luxury
Bowl.
boxes and the
Yeah,
suites,
you want a Super Bowl.
you want a Super Bowl, and
yeah,
on top of that,
yeah.
you want these corporations spending a ton of money to buy these tickets and suites and sponsorships.
Yeah.
And they can send their bigwigs don't want to go watch a game in the rain or the cold or the snow. They'll go to an air conditioned stadium in the winter to watch a football game. So to me, it's just about money and driving revenue sources. They can make a lot more money in the corporate world with an indoor stadium than they can with an outdoor stadium.
It is. You are correct. And then concerts and everything like that. Yeah, you're right. I just, as a football fan, I'm gonna miss it. Can somebody something fun at the end? Jalen Guyton's like his setup, his like he doesn't look. He looks like a generic player from Madden. Like I'm not. Somebody got to help Jalen out, cousin. Like the equipment guy.
But number 4 doesn't look good on him.
Number 4 does not. Can we just have a? How about this? Can we just no hate towards Derek Carr? Not bringing up old shit, but can we just have a year without number 4? Like just have one season without nobody wearing number 4. Like just nobody. Like nobody.
Guyton looks like the model when you walk into the Raider image and they have the mannequin
Yes,
standing
he
there.
does.
That's
Yes,
literally what he looks like in his uniform.
And it's weird because when he was with the Chargers, he looked like a normal player. So you gotta change it up, man. You gotta change it up.
I think he's going to make this team too.
I think he
gives you speed outside.
Yeah.
He knows Telesco. I think they're going to keep 6 receivers. But he can play the outside position and he's fast and he can give you some explosive plays. You can run those screens. You're going to see a lot of wide receiver screens. By the way, did you see?
Yeah.
They tried to run a wide receiver screen today. Did you see that interception by Maxx Crosby in the pick 6?
I did that. I did that. But it brought me back to my favorite play that I think it was Musgrave ran, where he ran the fake bubble screen and he threw a touchdown pass. That was the game that the Mac had 6-5 touchdown, 5 sacks in that game at Denver. I love that touchdown. Of course, we couldn't score to the fourth quarter because we had no red zone presence because of our quarterback. But so you think Devontae, Jacoby, Tucker, Wilkerson, Guyton, and Turner make the squad?
As of now, those would be the 6.
As of now, but like if you are new to the show, the 53 man is coming up from Ryan. Ryan does a great job picking out the 53 man roster.
I think I went 51 and 53 last year.
Yeah, so yeah, it's good percentage. Good percentage here. Do you like the last thing? Would be the depth chart. Just naming having the 2 tight ends. Like, does that even mean anything? You're not giving away anything in there. But people know you're going to be in 12 personnel anyway. So
some media guy or PR guy is filling that out anyways. It doesn't mean anything. They're going to play 12 personnel 50% of the time this year because you want Brock Bowers on the field as an extra receiving option.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how they get him involved as well too. It's just with the return of Colton Miller, the only real weak spot would be probably left guard until Jackson Powers gets back. I would say probably that and Thayer Mumford, because we don't know about Thayer Mumford for a 17-game season, but the weapons are there, and that's why the Raiders are so desperate to just get a solid quarterback play because their weapons are right there in front of them, and they could actually be a pretty prolific offense if they got everything going. But we'll see. Getsy has to get that team rolling and get them rolling in the red zone, because the red zone has been the Achilles heel for this team for a long time, whether it's Josh McDaniels or John Gruden. Anything else?
I think it was interesting. And I'm not the biggest Luke Getsy fan, but Luke Getsy, yes. And we said this the minute he was hired, he's going to be the first guy when things go wrong. It's going to be Getsy's fault. The fans are going to come after him. And the offense hasn't looked good in the preseason in the last 6 quarters, but they're running vanilla stuff they're not going to run in the season. And you heard Antonio Pierce come out. We were texting throughout the Cowboys game. Like, they didn't attempt to run the ball at all.
No.
It was, let's put these quarterbacks out there. Let's
he said it. He said
throw
it
the
to
ball
you.
around the yard.
He wanted to see him throw the football. Yeah, he said that.
And they were running basic stuff. There was no motions. Like, this team's going to motion quite a bit. You're going to see guys lined up all over the place. You're going to see misdirection, bootlegs, play action, rollout stuff, like stuff that we just haven't seen in the preseason. So when you have a quarterback like Gardner Minshew, you can't call 40 drop back in the pocket, 5-7 strep drop plays. That's not his strength. So I think Getsy wants this offense to have some mobility to it. He wants to move the launch point. He wants to get the ball in and out of the quarterback's hands. And he wants to do some things that Gardner Minshew is probably a little bit better at. Now, if you were asking the quarterback to drop back and make reads and not move and not do any of that stuff, then you probably do go with O'Connell. But I don't think that's what this offense is going to be. That's not what Luke Getsy's offense have ever been. So we'll see what happens as we move forward. But it is something to watch. I think, some people are saying there's a short leash on Minshew. I think as long as he doesn't just start turning the ball over like crazy, he's going to get his chance to play 7, 8, 9, 10 games. Like I said earlier, if he starts turning the ball over and he throws 8 interceptions in the first 4 games, then he's probably not playing the 5th or 6th game. So if he just takes care of the ball and they're not scoring 7 points a game, if they can get into the 20, 21, 22 points a game, then I think that's where Antonio Pierce wants to be. And you'll see Gardner Minshew hopefully play 17 games this season and see what he can do. And hopefully, our 8, 9 wins, hopefully the ball bounces right. Hopefully, pick 6 here, a defensive score, a special team score. I'd love to see this team get to 10 or 11 and get into the playoffs. I'm not saying it's not impossible. I'm saying the odds are it's probably unlikely, but there is a universe where this is a playoff team this year, and it's going to come down to how well the quarterback plays.
Yeah, no question about it. At Legion Stadium, is there nowhere, do they have, when I went there, I wasn't thinking about it, but somebody said that commitment to excellence isn't anywhere in the stadium. Is that true? You remember this?
I don't know off the top of my head. I've been there several times. I've never looked for it, but I would think it's in the stadium somewhere. I did the stadium tour last summer. I'm sure somewhere in the stadium.
It has to. I gotta.
Whether that's in. Actually, you know what? It's in the locker room. I know that. I have a picture.
Is it in the locker? Okay. It's in the locker.
It's in the locker room. I have the picture on my phone somewhere.
Okay, good. Yeah, because somebody said that in a space, and I was like, "There's no way they dropped that. There's no way they dropped that. No way they couldn't do that one. No black hole, but they gotta have commitment to excellence."
Did you see the? I don't know if you saw this, the menu, or maybe what some of the seating area cost in the Win Club. It was absurd. We're talking $20, $30, $40, $50,000 for certain thing in the Win Club. I saw it on X or Twitter, and I looked at it. I'm like, I'm never sitting down there. I can't afford that.
Jeez, I do that and is it? I didn't look on my iPhone. Is it? Do they really have that? It's like $700 direct TV like football thing on there? Like somebody was making it's all been over Twitter. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have.
Oh no, yeah. I go through YouTube.
You go to YouTube
anyway. If you want to buy
every game,
if you want to just go through Apple and do an Apple subscription for Sunday Ticket this year, it's like $680, and if you want to add Red Zone, it's like $740. I think.
What does it cost?
I signed up for YouTube last year, and I think it was like $350, and this year it's like $370.
And they have an early sign up that ends on the 29th too. I saw that too as well for fans. So
they always do the first week free, so I actually haven't signed up this year. I might just take the first week free and then sign up week 2.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I
mean, the first game's gonna be on local TV anyways. So.
For us, yeah, it will be. All right, Raider Nation, the fast approaching the season coming up here, so it's we got some time to chill and that next game is not going to be nobody's playing in that game. That's just a free trip to Vegas for George Kittle and Brock Purdy and company. So don't worry about that.
Hopefully Tommy Eichenberg plays. That's the one I have circled.
Yeah, I think I have it here as number 45. So hopefully we see 45 on the field wearing Marcel Reese's old number. All right, Raider Nation, go Raiders.
All right,
take care.
Take care.
Peace.